Oh, we're rolling? Okay. Well, hi. It's me, RJ. You know, when I'm not busy dealing with puppets, writing for puppets, or doing puppet shows, or handling classwork and trying to figure out exactly how I get a job after college, I draw. So today, I'm going to show you some drawing stuff that I've done. Or will be doing. It's will be, isn't it? Yeah, thanks, Chester. You're a lot of help. Today, I'm going to be doing some drawings based on the puppets you've seen on the show, and I'll talk about exactly how I came up with the characters. Actually, that's a good question. How did I come up with the characters? I'll figure this out before we transition, I promise. So, Chester, we'll put a picture over here for you to see a reference. He's actually been one of the oldest characters I have at this point. I think I started coming up with him in early middle school when I first started learning how to do puppets professionally, and we had to get one puppet to use in and do for a character, and I picked a little black lab puppet, Chester 1.0 as I like to call him now because he's retired now. I had to retire that particular version when I took him to a college where they hold a preschool program, which was really cool to see. But then, of course, me and my big mouth was like, do you kids want to meet Chester? And they all went, yeah! And they had been out in the water sprinklers. So they were all soaking wet. So, of course, I got him the first one, Chester 1.0 wrecked. And so now the version you see today is Chester 2.0, which is actually a backup I had gotten just in case that happened. So it was a good thing that I had a plan ahead of time. But yeah, so he was one of my earliest characters. He just kind of became a sort of a personification of what I wish I could be like, more energetic, more excited. You know, sort of the social excitement that you wish you could do in the normal public. That childlike, woo, yeah! But you reach a certain age where that becomes unacceptable, so having him as a character to sort of express all the things I don't normally express because of that and my own personal shyness really helped. So here we're gonna have his paws up in the air excitedly, probably showing the audience something that he just found. And he's one of the simpler ones I've drew too. When I started practicing drawing these characters, especially when I started making them, because then you got to go through preliminary designs and figure out exactly what you want the characters to look like and what materials you want to use. So I practiced with the ones that I had already store-bought, so Chester was also one of the earliest ones to get that treatment as well. But he's been with me for a long time. It's been maybe over 10 years now since I've had this character, and the kids just love him. He used to not be like the main character for my shows. He used to be sort of like on the sidelines as sort of a comedic relief, and then the more I used him for shows, the more the kids wanted Chester more than any of the other puppets. So it was like, well, okay, I guess I gotta keep bringing him back then, because this is what the kids want, and that's what I was doing the shows for at the time. So there we go. We got happiness there. We'll have him throw some confetti to show his excitement. There's a lot of stuff I've done with Chester. He's always been the one to do Bible verses when we've done Sunday school Bible shows, always. It's never, I tried having other puppets do it. It didn't get the same response as Chester gets. So I eventually just made it his thing, his shtick for Sunday school to do that. And also kind of his shtick now is to somewhat keep everyone under control. But since he's so wired and energetic, that doesn't always work. Sometimes he spawns the craziness. And he's been to a lot of places. If you've seen any of the Hawaii videos, they took him to Hawaii when we were out there, which actually, on the first video, we said that he went into the ocean and that he got super wet, but in reality, I had him in a backpack when we were driving to the location, the beach location, and there was also water bottles in that backpack, and one of them wasn't shut all the way, so it had basically been leaking on Chester the whole drive to the beach. And then when we finally parked the car and took the backpack, we saw the backpack soaking wet, and we realized that the water bottle had leaked and it had gotten all over him, and my poor mom thought she had wrecked him, but he was fine. He was fine. He's a little worse for wear now, but he survived. That's the good thing about water. It's not that dangerous. But in the video, we just said that he took a dip in the water when he wasn't supposed to, because it was pretty hard to explain why he was so soaking wet. And then, that wasn't the only trip he's been on. Back in, gosh, I think this was 2012, spring of 2012 now. That was a while ago. In spring of 2012, my class had gone on a trip to study glass in New York. So we spent about a week in Corning and then a week in Manhattan. And when we were in Manhattan, we were going to like different art museums. We went to the Met for one day, which I felt we should have gone more, but we only went that one day. And then we went to the MoMA on another day. And while we were there, we had made this contact at Sesame Street. We had reached this guy, and he invited us to come in and take a look around at the facilities, at least for the executive offices. So we thought, hey, yeah, why not? So we went in, and during our tour, we actually ran into the guy that puppeteered Elmo, Kevin Clash, which is a pretty big deal. I knew on the spot who he was. The other people with me had no clue. They had no idea who he was. And so I was trying my best not to freak out, and I pulled out Chester just to calm my nerves, and Kevin enjoyed that. And then the guy that was giving us the tour was like, well, hey, why don't we get a quick picture? And Kevin goes, sure, and he puts his backpack aside, and he puts away like this huge bag of Subway sandwiches that he must have gotten for a meeting or something. So he puts all that aside, and he pulls out Elmo from the backpack, and then it just clicked with the other two people that were there with me, and they started to freak out like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was the guy that did Elmo. So Chester got pictures with Elmo that day, and we found out that Elmo likes Subway. I know Sesame Street isn't as prominent as they used to be, especially since PBS kind of cut their funding and they're on HBO now, but hey, if you guys are still out there, give a shout out to Kevin Clash. I know he had some controversy like 2 years later, but dude, Elmo is still the best. So you're still awesome in my book. And here we go. This is Chester. He is ready for an adventure. Just gonna add a couple more shadows. Make his prominence. Here we go. There's Chester. Alright, so next I'm going to do Lucy the cat pirate. And Lucy's a character that had been in my mind for a long time. I guess I'll start from the beginning with her because it's kind of a crazy story, but I think back when I was in high school, on one of my birthdays, a friend gave me this crazy looking puppet. He was determined. He wanted to give me a creepy puppet because he was certain that no one could love or enjoy this puppet. So the minute he gave it to me, it was like this deformed sock like cat puppet with an eye patch. And he's like, here you go, this is the creepiest puppet I could find. So he was determined that no one would love it. The minute I started using it in shows, the kids loved it. And I really enjoyed rubbing it in his face. It was like, well, it wasn't as creepy as you thought it was, because the kids obviously enjoy it. And from there, it kind of, I enjoyed the character I was forming out of it to have this cat pirate, but at the same time, it wasn't really doing much. Like, because it was the design of the puppet was pretty bad overall, and I needed something a little better. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing with the arms on her. Here, we'll have her hold a Pokeball. Moving on from that, it just, the actual design of the puppet was absolutely terrible. So I loved the character I was forming out of it, but I hated the puppet itself. It was terrible to work with. So I started drawing my own concepts for, well, if I were to make a cat pirate, what would I want her to look like? What would I have in mind? And that's kind of how Lucy started coming about. I did several concept art sketches for her, and then I'm trying to remember when I started making her. It was pretty late, like I had the concept art, and then maybe 1 or 2 years later I actually started to get the materials to make her. And then, even then, I did the head and the main backbone frame in foam, like over one break, and then I just kind of dropped it because I had to go back to school. I kind of dropped it after that, and then either the spring or the summer after that, I actually found the materials for the rest and put the rest of her together. So it took a while to actually make Lucy. So once I had her, I really wanted to do something awesome with her. And I wasn't sure what to do with her at first. And then when I got the 3DS, which I might have actually gotten the 3DS before I had even finished her, I decided, hey, let's make her a gamer for no other reason than gaming is fun, and I want to get my good money's worth out of the 3DS, and I like watching Let's Players on YouTube. So I thought it'd be fun to do that myself. But I didn't want it to just be me. I wanted it to have a twist. So Lucy was that twist. Oh, it's not a person playing this game. It's this crazy cat pirate. Don't ask me how pirates and gaming go together. I'm not actually sure about that part, but that's how it came about. And then from there, it was a matter of, well, now that I have the idea, what games do I do? And at the time, I think I only had maybe 3 or 4 games. And one of them was Tomodachi Life, so that's what I started with. I just erased my whole island that I had made on that and gave it to Lucy to control. And then the other one that I had at the time was Link Between Worlds. So we started with those two with her. And I wasn't exactly sure how to do the overlay filming, because it's filming with a puppet with Let's Plays is not the same as doing a Let's Play on your own. Because it's very easy on your own, you just point the webcam at your face while you're playing, and then you have the screen recorded. With Lucy, I had to record the screen ahead of time and record her dialogue, and then go back into it later, film a whole nother piece of just the puppet lip syncing the lines. And then I had to mash those 2 clips together to make it look like the audio and the visual happened at exactly the same time. So it wasn't the easiest thing to figure out at first. I had to Google search how to do it, because I had no idea how to do video overlay on the program I had at the time. But now that I know how to do it, I use it all the time. It's really simple. It was one of those things where you have no clue, and then the moment you figure out how to do it, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I not get that before? So from there, it was fairly easy to do, shoot a bunch at once and then go back into it. Filming the Lucy bits was not as easy because my arm would get sore after a while, but it was fun to do. And I think the hardest part, even more than doing the editing lip syncing part, was just to be able to come up with things, because it wasn't me reacting to it. It was the character. Lucy's character was reacting to it. So I had to think, well, if I were a cat pirate, what would I do with this game? How would I react when this thing happens? And I think the best moments I got, which were really hard to do, and I don't know if I'll do them again, but the best moments I got were when we had Chester come on for a couple of episodes, and he and Lucy did Tomodachi Life, and Then they also did Sonic, and Chester, who doesn't really do any gaming, was paired up with Lucy, who does lots of gaming, and she was freaking out. The Sonic bit was great, because I personally had never beaten the level that she and Chester beat during that video. So there was genuine shock and excitement when that happened. But it was like, oh, I still gotta be in character too. So it was a crazy reaction to that. That was a ton of fun. Just add a couple more shadows, and here's Lucy, ready for another gaming piratey adventure. Oh yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is the first time I've ever done any drawing related things, but yeah, I do drawing so much that I figured it wouldn't hurt while I'm getting in practice to film a lot what I'm doing as well. It kind of makes you a little more conscious of exactly how you're drawing when you're doing it for an audience. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you like this, go ahead and, click the like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more upcoming videos. I'll probably do more of these. I actually really enjoyed doing this. This was pretty peaceful. So, and hopefully I will see you guys again. Hope you had fun.